Hello Udemy, I am Shahzad Ahmad from Shakespeare.com and welcome in lecture number 3rd. Today's we are going to talk about application flowchart and the folder structures. So let's talk about, first of all, we are just go to your codingnator.com. Okay, so they have the documentation section. Make sure we are, so they have the coordinator 3.x documentation separately, and they have 2.x. 2.x is the legacy version, and we are not going to learn 2.x, we are going to learn 3.x. so hit the read the user guide. So they have a user guide. Click on the user guide so you can learn many things related with coordinator 3. So welcome to coordinator. So they are providing you, they are sharing some information why you have chosen coordinator. So installations, how can you install the coordinator. So coordinator overview. So in the overview sections you can see the application flowchart. So in the application flowchart, how your coordinator environment works. So it's saying whenever a particular user can access your URL, can generate a request to your URL. First of all, that request may handle your index.php file. So index.php file, if you can see your folder structures, ci3 is a root directory. So in the root directory we have index.php file. So here is your index.php file. So this is the same index.php file which we are talking about. Okay, index.php file, first of all, it's accepting the request. So it's checking the routing setting. We will talk about routing setting. How can we check the routing or routing or okay. Then some few security checking. After check your security checking, it can access your controller. It can communicate with your controller, and your controller can communicate with model, libraries, helpers, plugins, and scripts. And at the result, your controller can reply you or by loading a view. Okay, so when a particular view is loaded, it cached, or we will talk about caching. What is caching? So is the flowchart, application flowcharts: request accepted, routing checking, security check, application. Okay, controller can communicate with your model, library, helper, plugins, then reply via views. We will talk about views, how can we create views, how can we load our views, and then cache. We will also talk about caching. What is caching? So first of all, go to your IDE. So it's a folder structure. We have we have 3 folders inside the root directory. First of all, application; second, system folder; third, user guide. So you are currently watching user guide. So it's the documentation. So it's the same folder you are online watching. So this is the same folder. If you can go your htdocs, ci3 folder, and user guide, hit the index.html. so you have the same documentations. So user guide is the documentation sections. So close your user guide. So it's the your offline documentation available here. You can see your documentation every time when you are not connected with your internet. So what is system folder? They have core files. Core files means they have all they have all the core files. So do not touch any these files. You can not communicate with directly these files. So we always interact with this application folder. Okay, so in the application folder you have several folders: cache, config, controllers, core, helper, hooks, language, libraries, logs, models, third party, views, .htaccess file. We will talk about what is the .htaccess file. But in your config folder, all the configuration related with your particular application or web applications. We can set auto loads, config, constants.php, database.php. We will provide we will create a connection, database connection inside the database.php, but you have a several files. We will talk about each and every these files. We always create our controller inside the controllers folder. Means if you are going to create a controller, you must keep that controller inside the controllers folder. Okay, so it's a rule. This is the helper. If you are going to create your custom helper, you must keep that helper inside your helpers folder. Okay, and what about libraries? If you are going to embed your third parties libraries, or if you are going to create your library, you must keep that library inside this libraries folder. Okay, so you can ignore logs folder, you can ignore core folder, you can ignore cache folder. We will talk about cache folder. And whenever you are going to create your model, you must keep that model inside your models folder. Okay, so here is your view. So what about third parties? So third parties, if you have some packages, means if you want to access your applications which is on live at Facebook's, you can keep that files inside your third party folder. And when you are talking about views, whenever you create a view, you must keep that view inside your views folder. So it's a rule. Whenever you create a controller, that controller, you must keep that controller inside your controllers folder. Whenever you are going to create a model, you must keep that model inside your model folder and in your views folder. So this is the basic rule, and we will talk about each and everything, but for now it's the overall flow. It's the overall folder structures, and we always interact with application folder. Okay, so we are not going to touch any files which is in the system folder. So they have the core files inside the system folder. We always interact with applications folder. We are going to create our controllers, models, views inside our applications folder. So for now, it's always, I am Shahzad Ahmed from Shikzi.com. If you have any question and confusion, feel free to ask me or leave a comment below the video. So thank you for watching.